Rise and shine. It is Friday morning. It is July the 11th. What? July? We're almost to mid-July. Where is this year going? Good gravy. Anyway, good morning to you. This is Coffee Talk. I'm WESH 2 First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, hopefully getting your day started off on the right note. Gotta tell you, it's beautiful outside. There's a live look Lake Dora. Tower Cam Network taking us over to Lake County. How pretty is that? You know, we live. Did I miss a button? Good gravy. We live in a beautiful spot, don't we? Like that's the shot that we get to wake up to every morning. It's so pretty. First warning live Doppler radar, mostly rain free in our area, right? Like we come into the metro, nothing going on here, but look north and west. There are a few showers our live radar is tracking. Nothing in Central Florida, but it's there's still moisture around, right? All right, mid to upper 70s out the door. We'll get back to Futurecast in a minute. I gotta remember I put that there. Forecast today, bringing us up to a 50% coverage of showers and thunder showers. Now, I'm on the air doing WESH 2 News at noon and 4, I believe. Stand by. Checking. Yeah, noon and 4. So I'll be on the air tracking this stuff. But we've got storms around, right? 92 degrees our 1 p.m. temperature, 95 degrees our 3 p.m. temperature. So we do have some storms in the forecast today. Like I said, we'll get to Futurecast in a minute. It's also going to be blasted hot. Here's a look at the numbers, okay? 95 degrees, our high temperature in Orlando. 96 degrees today in Sanford, 95 degrees in DeLand, lower 90s back over to the East Coast community. So it's going to be hot. When we look at the next couple of days, it's not just today, it's tomorrow and Sunday. We're looking not at record setting heat, but at big heat nonetheless. Our average high temperature is 92. So certainly outplaying the game there, right? All right. So that's kind of a look at the temperatures. That's a big part of the story. But let's look at Futurecast and get an idea of where we go in terms of rainfall, okay? So here we are this morning, looking great. It's a beautiful morning. I can almost hear the song. It's a beautiful. All right, a couple of showers northwest of town. That very much plays out to what we were seeing. Watch 1:32 o'clock. Rain's bubbling up along I-95, kind of east southeast of the area, and then into about dinner time, 5:36. Storms really kerplunking and continuing through 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then gradually kind of weakening themselves out. Okay, so that's a look at our hour by hour setup for today. When we look at the overall rain coverage product for today, watch how, yeah, it's going to be those inland spots that really have the best opportunity for storms, right? There's your highest coverage. Inland from Daytona Beach, again, I know. Inland from most of our East Coast areas, I know, but here we are, okay? Now, in terms of flooding, let's discuss this a little bit because we're going to be moistening up the atmosphere and thus flooding is going to be a concern. So, for us today, we're just looking at your normal storms. For us tomorrow, we're looking at your normal storms. But Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, more moisture is moving into our area. It's a low end threat for flooding, but it's at least something we want to outline, okay? For your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we are watching for soaking rains potentially putting down enough that we could be dealing with some localized flooding. This is not a significant flooding event for Central Florida, but it's just letting you know that we've got some heavy rains that are kind of moving into the overall forecast, okay? So let's take a look at Central Florida's certified most accurate 7-day forecast and watch how, again, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those rain chances are starting to rise. That's why we're discussing that low end threat for flooding, right? So, why? What's going on? Well, so on Monday, essentially, we just watched this ridge of high pressure. It's on the right side of the screen. Probably can't even tell. Yeah, it's there, east of us. And all it's doing is it's helping to pump moisture in. And then into Monday, or excuse me, into Wednesday, we start to watch for some lowering pressures in the Gulf. And that's where we could continue to pump moisture into our area. It actually would help to kind of funnel that moisture into our area. Now, I would add that low pressure forming in the Gulf is at least something to discuss tropically. We will continue to, but it's at least something to mention. Over the next 7 days' time, the National Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook goes 7 days in the future. There is no discussion of any tropical development. However, looking at week 2, the National Weather Service and kind of climate prediction centers, they do put out their own product. And they're highlighting the Gulf, saying that in that window of July 16th through the 22nd, there is the chance of something developing tropically. The models are not shooting home runs here, which is why in week 2, we're getting a 20% chance. It has to be a significant signal for you to get 40 or 60% in the week 2 time frame. 20% is still not nothing, though. The fact that that's there states that there's at least the possibility. So, again, when we look at our overall pattern, that is essentially only telling me that watching next week, rain chances could absolutely rise. Here's another way to look at it, okay? Watch the American GFS model. Okay, as that area of low pressure tries to develop, the American GFS model is pumping in a bunch of moisture. Central and South Florida, for example, half a foot of rain to a foot of rain. Now, of course, this is all going to depend on where an area of low pressure forms and all of that fun stuff. But the bottom line is this: could see some rising rain chances because of a weak tropical feature trying to develop in the Gulf. Okay, so one other point, and we'll look at the models here in a second, but one other point I want to make is if you are a consumer of Coffee Talk or Wesh 2 News, you're familiar with the 2025 hurricane season forecast we put out March 1st every year. We did it at the very end of February this year. The other thing that I want to point out is that this part of the weather pattern is tied to what was Raphael last year and is tied to what we referred to this year as the slow Gulf low along the northern Gulf Coast. Look at the dates for this part of the weather pattern recycling. It recycled June 4th through the 11th. It was not a big deal there. July 16th through the 23rd, that's the area of low pressure we're talking about trying to form in the Gulf. And then will reform or will recycle back around end of August into early September. Okay. This is when this part of the weather pattern recycles. This has nothing to do with developing a hurricane. Could this part of the pattern yield a tropical system? Yes, that's why we highlight it. But I'm not telling you that those dates are going to hurricane. But we put this out back in February. Now, June 1st, we tweaked the dates forward 2 days, full transparency. We started doing that last year just as we get better tabs on the dates, but I digress. July 16th through the 23rd is when we highlighted this part of the pattern. So let's do this. Let's pull up the raw GFS computer model. Okay. And let's take a look and see what this morning's GFS is showing right there. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, sloppy area of low pressure kind of just over us. Thus, our rain chance is rising, right? But watch how right there, the 16th into the 17th, models are at least trying to show it developing into a closed low. What were those dates again? The 16th to the 17th, that's when it was going to try to develop. What were the dates I put out? The 16th through the 23rd. Where? From about the Big Bend of Florida to Louisiana. All right, so this is fitting the long range forecast that we had highlighted. It kind of moves up toward like Grand Isle there, like Louisiana, Mississippi, around the 18th, and then high pressure builds back in. And nothing else afterward. Okay. So that's the next part of the weather pattern that we're watching. This sloppy low just kind of hanging out, perhaps trying to close off. This is the American GFS model. Let's go back. Let's look at the European model. All right. There's a little piece of energy that it's trying to pick up out in the Gulf. If we go from the 6Z to the 0Z, yeah, it's trying to show something in the Gulf. It doesn't really know what. Sloppy low, that's around the 17th, also around our dates. Right? Now, should you be freaking out? Absolutely not. I think that that's the key here. Tropically speaking, yes, we know this fits a part of our long range pattern, which we've discussed, which is why it's at least got me watching because that next cycle around, that August 25th to September 3rd version, that could be a doozy. So we have to watch. The other thing is, we know that it's going to impact our rain chances, right? Like, look at the 7 day forecast. Our rain chances early next week go up as this piece of energy is kind of drifting over us and then out into the Gulf. And once it gets into the Gulf, it has the opportunity to build. So we're watching it for rain chances. Are we watching it for significant development? The answer is absolutely not. There is not a concern for significant development here. That's just not what this is. Okay. So we're watching it. We're trying to gauge kind of what it wants to do. We're trying to gauge how it's going to impact us locally, but we are not concerned about this becoming a big bad hurricane. Not at all concerned about this becoming a big bad hurricane. Of course, we're watching for any kind of a flooding potential, right? But yeah, for right now, there's no big bad hurricanes. For right now, just watching for that chance for development, not in the next 7 days, but in that week 2 time frame, in that July 16th through the 22nd, which we had highlighted this area both in time and in space back in February. So there's that. Okay. All right. So, questions, comments, concerns about this kind of overall weather pattern, kind of where we're at, what we're doing, how we're doing it. I'm here for you. Now I'm going to check out the comments. Sorry. I've been just kind of talking. Tanya says, I'm freaking, I'm freaking. Don't freak, Tanya. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't. Pow, pow. I wonder what the track record is for hurricanes on Labor Day weekend. So, Gara, I mean, Labor Day weekend, obviously, that's around the peak of hurricane season. You know, the statistical peak, the statistical peak of hurricane season is around September 10th, September 11th. So there's the season. Yeah. So Labor Day is typically a very, very active stretch. Um, let's see. I need it to be nothing so I can keep my vacation on the 24th. This thing is going to be nothing. It's going to be a rainmaker. But of course, I always tell my colleagues, I can forecast the weather with a decent degree of accuracy. What I can't forecast is, how we end up covering it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just we cover things the way it needs to be covered. And so as things start, we have to make modifications from time to time. So there's that. Janice, it's your Coffee Talk fashion consultant here. Is that a white dress shirt you're wearing today? It is. Yes. Yes. I'll have a tie on when I'm at work. Jessica says, I see Daytona might get some rain today. Won't get my hopes up yet. Yeah, I know. I know. Let's see here. I'm checking. I'm checking. My ground is so saturated, trying to dry out. 7:16. Any way to see MCO flight out? A flight? I give all. Yeah, yeah. It's a little too early to see flights. Yeah. Um, Tanya, did you just pow pow me? I might have. Yeah, yeah. There you are, Daddy. Sure, exactly right. Terry says, I will still feel anxious until that low clears out. There's going to be plenty of things that we track. This is not one of those to be worried about, promise you. Time to say, Jesus Christ, superstar. Do, 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 do. When the thunder roars, head indoors. That's right, Ryan. That's right. I have relatives here watching my kids. Hopefully, nothing develops before the 20th while I'm on a cruise, not wanting to deal with that. Nah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We haven't had rain in Lady Lake over a week now. Well, look at those rain chances. Like, we're sitting at a nice normal 50-50 coverage today, tomorrow, Sunday. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, our rain chances really do start ramming up, you know? I need to, this map is a little, stand by. I'm going to kind of update this a little bit. Where is the low? Is that a low? That's high. That's a low. Where are you? All right, hold up. I'm gonna put you here. Stand by. Put you there. Put you there. I'm building the graphics. Stand by, friends. This must be using the is this using the European model? Yeah, it's using, of course it's using the European model. Okay. Turn on the windshield. All right. Had to make tweaks to this graphic because the surface map was all wrong. All right, so here we are. So essentially, yeah, we're watching Monday to Tuesday, that little piece of energy just kind of hanging around the state. And as it hangs around the state, it's going to help to pump up the moisture. Pump. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. When's the next snowstorm? Yukon's asking. I know. I know. Priscilla, any flying for you lately? No. I'm hoping, though, the next couple of days I can. I'm hoping. Jamie Lopez, does that mean you're on TV? Yep, I'm doing the noon and 4 today. Um, Forced to register 100 on YouTube. Can you explain how the rain percentages work? Is it 50% of the area will get rain on a 50% chance of getting it? Yeah, so when we do our 7-day forecast, we base it on coverage. So the overall idea is 50% coverage of rainfall, 70% on Monday coverage of rainfall. That's kind of the idea there. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Monday into Tuesday, y'all. Like it's going to get stormy depending on exactly where the low develops, where it moves, all of that fun stuff. Yep, lots of moisture. I feel like 50% of the area will get the rain. Yeah, exactly. Right, Sonia, that's exactly what it is. But then we do like individualized forecasts. Like, for example, Cocoa Beach Air Show this weekend, if you're heading out. This is the forecast for the event itself. Mid to upper 80s, afternoon showers and storms. Looks like a really fun time for the Cocoa Beach Air Show, right? Just have those afternoon storms we have to, of course, contend with. There's the Orlando City game on Saturday. Hopefully we'll be okay for that, right? These are more individualized, but the 7-day has to be stepping back and seeing the forest through the trees, a broader scope, if you will. Yeah, right. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Stormy is swampy and moist. I mean, that's one way to put it. It's Frisky Friday. Ah, freak out. Doom, doom. Freak out. Doom, doo, 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 doo. Aw, freak out. All right, is that all you got? Is that all we have, friends? We good? All right. I guess we can call it a little early. I've got to run to the office anyway, working on I've made like 100 themed backgrounds. I think I have another 100 to go. Man. Working on some new graphics. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. All right. Good question. What does the GFS stand for? The Global Forecast System, which is the American model. Yeah. Who's up next for Drive Through Friday? Once we get out of hurricane season, we can do Drive Through Friday. Debbie's asking about the Coastal 7-day. I don't know if Kellyanne did it. We'll give it the old college try. She did not do it. Yeah. That's Tony's from yesterday. Obviously, rain chances rising next week. So that's the theme. The percentages are going to be a little different. Yeah. All right. That's all I got. I'll see you on TV today. Wesh 2 News at noon and at 4. Sound good? All right. Take care, everybody. Be the sunshine in someone else's day.